On November 29th, China's e-commerce platform Pinduoduo reported earnings that significantly exceeded expectations, sparking a dramatic surge in its stock price in the United States. The company's shares accumulated a gain of over 23%, increasing its market value to $192.4 billion, surpassing its competitor, Alibaba Group. However, insiders and employees of Pinduoduo have revealed numerous issues associated with the company's aggressive growth. An employee who worked at Pinduoduo for just 10 days shared a video ranting about the experience.
上夜班，天天加班。
Working night shifts means daily overtime from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m., with a mandatory 40 minutes of unpaid overtime every day. Even if your feet are swollen, you're sick, or injured, the boss won't let you take a break or approve leave. Sure, you want to earn money from Pinduoduo, but it seems like they're after your life.
我们村做拼多多啊，说实话，连媳妇儿都娶不上。
Those working for Pinduoduo in our village, honestly, you can't even think about getting married. Working there is just as exhausting as farming. You have to plow, sow, water, fertilize, weed. It's backbreaking work. You start at 5 in the morning and don't get to bed until midnight, always covered in dust and dirt. And after a whole year, you realize you haven't really made much money at all. Pinduoduo focuses on group buying. As an emerging force in e-commerce, Pinduoduo achieved remarkable milestones, including listing within 3 years and reaching a market value of over $100 billion within 5. By 2021, the company's market value soared to over $200 billion, ranking third in China's internet company hierarchy, just behind Alibaba and Tencent. Colin Huang, the founder of Pinduoduo, saw his net worth skyrocket, making him the second richest individual in China. According to the Forbes Real-Time Billionaires list, Huang surpassed Tencent CEO Ma Huateng, becoming the third wealthiest person in China with a fortune of $58.6 billion. Pinduoduo's popularity and rapid growth are often seen as miraculous. Economists attribute this success primarily to its low-cost marketing strategy, such as group purchasing. Suppose the price of an item is 25 yuan, but if you and someone else buy it together, it might only cost about 15 yuan. Additionally, the Slash the Price campaign allows consumers to purchase products at even lower prices, sometimes even for free. While this low-cost marketing strategy has attracted more users in China, some scholars argue that it has also led to the exploitation of Chinese manufacturing, driving factories into exhaustion. During China's 2023 Double 11 Shopping Festival, a price war erupted among traditional e-commerce, interest-based e-commerce, and community e-commerce platforms, with everyone claiming to offer the lowest price. However, a data survey platform compared prices across various e-commerce channels and found that, after evaluating 4 core categories including cosmetics, apparel and accessories, 3C electronics, and food and beverages, Pinduoduo's products are the cheapest when brand is not taken into account. Not just in China, Pinduoduo's strategy of high investment marketing plus ultra-low-priced products reached its zenith when the company ventured into international markets. In September 2022, Pinduoduo successfully launched its overseas platform, Temu. The most attractive feature of the Temu app is arguably its incredibly low prices. For example, a pair of Lenovo Bluetooth headphones was priced at just $7.59, a women's coat at $19, slippers at $4.88, and a heart-shaped home carpet at $6.50. All these items included free shipping and a 90-day free return policy. Just 2 months later, in November 2022, the gross merchandise value of Temu surged from $4 million to $100 million. Temu then allocated $14 million for advertising during the Super Bowl, known as the Spring Festival Gala of the United States, promoting its dollar store concept with various discounts and download rebates. With this move, Temu became the youngest brand to advertise during the Super Bowl. During the Black Friday sales in 2023, Temu offered aggressive promotions, including $200 coupons, discounts as steep as 90% off, with prices starting as low as 39 cents. By November 2023, Temu's total merchandise transactions had reached $3 billion. However, Pinduoduo's marketing strategy has not been universally acclaimed, with many industry insiders criticizing it as a form of brute force buying, acquiring massive volumes and then capturing traffic with low prices to cultivate consumer habits. Additionally, this high-volume, high-traffic approach is seen as an extreme exploitation of suppliers and workers. In Pinduoduo's factories, numerous employees are reportedly trapped in a cycle of excessive overtime. Pinduoduo's overtime culture is an open secret. The company enforces a 9-9-6 working schedule where employees work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 or even 7 days a week. Furthermore, employees are often required to work overtime late into the night, and sometimes even overnight, to complete various projects and activities. This persistent worsening of working conditions has led to the term sweatshop being used to describe employment at Pinduoduo. On December 29, 2020, a 23-year-old female employee of Pinduoduo passed away after suddenly falling ill on her way home from overtime work. She was an employee of Duoduo Grocery, Pinduoduo's community group buying platform in the Xinjiang region. It was reported that she had worked continuously for over 30 hours without rest prior to her death. In the wake of this incident, Pinduoduo exhausted all means to quell the controversies, but another incident surfaced just 10 days later. A Pinduoduo software engineer who had been with the company for only 6 months and had just been made a permanent employee committed suicide by jumping off a building in Changsha. Despite no direct evidence linking the employee's death to Pinduoduo, the incident once again cast the company into the spotlight, further damaging its brand image. Another Pinduoduo frontline employee, known as Wang Taishu on Weibo, also released an expose video. He claimed that after anonymously posting a photo on the professional networking app MaiMai of a colleague being taken away in an ambulance, he was confronted by his superiors and coerced into resigning for allegedly tarnishing the company's image. When he refused, Pinduoduo immediately terminated his employment. Additionally, he was threatened that the company would disclose this incident to future employers and include it in his file. Wang recounted that it took only 30 minutes from the time he posted the photo to being ousted from the company. He questioned whether it is reasonable for a company that solves problems by silencing those who raise them, rather than addressing the problems themselves. Wang Taishu also revealed that Pinduoduo not only withheld employees' rights to holidays and compensatory leave, delayed year-end bonus payments, but also forced employees to work in office floors with chemical odors. Furthermore, he claimed that the company provided meals were of poor quality, including expired and rotten food. As a longtime employee, Wang summarized that Pinduoduo's unscrupulous capitalism is forcing some of the nation's brightest minds into a relentless 996 work culture until their demise. This leads to the question, why do Chinese enterprises continue to blatantly violate labor laws, causing scandals such as employee deaths from overwork and suicides under pressure, while regulatory authorities remain silent? Scholars point out that in China, controlled by the Chinese Communist Party, the issue of labor rights infringement is a systemic institutional problem. Li Qiang, head of the US-based human rights organization China Labor Watch, noted that Chinese enterprises like Pinduoduo employ extensive legal teams to draft employment contracts that circumvent labor law accountability. The oversupply of labor in China forces applicants to accept oppressive terms like mandatory overtime. Furthermore, Chinese unions, appointed by the Communist Party and employers, lack representativeness and fail to advocate for employees' legal rights, causing an increasingly unbalanced employer-employee relationship. Li Qiang remarked that in China, unlike in Western democracies where union representatives are elected by workers, Chinese unions are unable to genuinely protect workers due to systemic institutional issues. Without systemic reform, the imbalance in labor relations cannot be resolved. Moreover, this incident highlights the drawbacks of China's one-party system. It is not just Pinduoduo, but the entire Chinese system, especially in terms of labor protection, that is problematic. Beyond exhausted factories, experts point out that Pinduoduo's marketing strategy of dominating with low prices is also quietly stifling other brands. Compared to other platforms, Pinduoduo operates on a product-to-consumer logic. When users search for a product on Pinduoduo, they are first presented with various price options to choose from. This leads to a scenario where a brand's visibility on the platform depends on its pricing. Consequently, branding becomes irrelevant on Pinduoduo, which explains the prevalence of unbranded products on the platform. Notably, Pinduoduo has a feature that allows for the listing of identical products. Popular items on the platform are recommended to other merchants, especially newer ones. With just a click, a merchant can copy the product listing of a competitor, simply undercut the price, and go live. This means that as long as the price is low, there will be traffic. From a branding perspective, this is a disastrous cycle. Either compete on price or sacrifice sales volume. The more frequently Chinese consumers use Pinduoduo, the more brands or merchants disappear for failing to offer the absolute lowest price. Simultaneously, to better control the supply chain, Pinduoduo adopted a full custody model. Merchants don't need to worry about front-end customers or manage complex logistics, operations, marketing, or after-sales. Their sole responsibility is to prepare inventory as per order, produce it, and send it to Pinduoduo's cross-border warehouses. Thus, products like false eyelashes from Pingdu, Shandong, and children's clothing from Huzhou, Zhejiang are effortlessly shipped overseas. In this production chain, thousands of Chinese factories simply follow the platform's directives to prepare inventory. Pinduoduo then selects the lowest priced products to maintain its low price strategy. Experts believe this is a form of monopoly, structurally forcing the supply chain to offer lower prices. It's a typical negative outcome of the aggregation effect. Whoever controls demand can redefine the production chain. Factories unable to sustain the extreme competition created by Pinduoduo are forced to relocate to regions with even lower labor costs. Thus, for merchants, Pinduoduo is not so much a platform for finding customers and delivering goods, but rather an adversary. Furthermore, some critics assert that Pinduoduo plays a significantly negative role from a social value perspective. Pinduoduo's founder, Colin Huang, set the tone for the company's growth strategy, with extreme efficiency plus extreme growth, advocating a utilitarian approach focused solely on growth. After conquering the global market, Pinduoduo is poised to enter its third phase of growth, like selling self-branded products to boost profits. With its massive user base, search behaviors, and rich third-party product information, Pinduoduo can decide on pricing strategies, imitate popular products, or choose which market segments to enter based on revenue potential. However, this information is sufficient to help Pinduoduo decide how to price products, copy the functionality of popular items on the platform, or choose which product segments to enter based on revenue potential or growth space. For a company obsessed with growth, high profits are an irresistible temptation. Eventually, it will start encroaching on its suppliers, leveraging its scale, pricing, and massive data. So, the question arises, while consumers currently benefit from Pinduoduo's low prices, what is their actual experience like? Netizens have shared their experiences online, with one mentioning how they were overwhelmed by the sheer number of low-priced products on their first visit to Pinduoduo. They purchased a pair of Nike-like sneakers for 30 yuan, approximately $4.20, only to be disappointed by the poor quality and unpleasant odor. Another user's first purchase, a shoe rack for 9 yuan, about $1.26, turned out to be broken and unusable. The cost of shipping for a replacement exceeded the product's price, so they decided to let it go. In addition to poor quality, Pinduoduo's data security has raised concerns. An American user reported receiving numerous harassing calls from embassies and UPS after confirming a purchase on Temu. Another user mentioned placing an order for $27.83 but never received a confirmation email. Customer service stated there was no record of the order and the issue remained unresolved. Yet, frustratingly to the customer, Temu's customer service later claimed the product had been delivered. A Washington-based woman reported credit card fraud after using Temu, a scenario echoed by her husband, who experienced a similar incident. They switched credit cards and vowed never to use Temu again. Independent internet security researcher Zach Edwards tested the site's security and wrote to Voice of America, stating, "The Temu app is a nightmare for data privacy and may violate Apple's App Privacy Label standards." Edwards explained that Apple's App Privacy Label document includes a clause about companies disclosing the types of data they collect using user IP addresses, such as precise or approximate location, device ID, etc. If a company stores user IP addresses, they must disclose this per Apple's requirements. However, Temu has not disclosed any such information, violating Apple's rules and deceiving some consumers. Currently, Temu has a rating of 1.7 out of 5 on the Better Business Bureau, with 71 complaints in less than 5 months. Melanie McGovern, Director for Public Relations and Social Media at the Bureau, told Time magazine that it's unusual for a new company to receive so many complaints in such a short time. Professor Vias at the University of Southern California urges consumers to remain vigilant about low prices. He advises, "In this digital age, I hope consumers pay more attention to protecting their data and privacy. Sacrificing privacy and data for a few cheap items could lead to a barrage of spam emails or security issues and identity theft later on."